Welcome to the final episode on day 2 of the Amplify, the Voices of the Global Majority Online Summit, focusing on how we heal. I'm still your host, Reggie Hubbard, and grateful to be in what has been a delightful crescendo of practice and experience. If y'all don't know anything about Dr. Gail, I'm beyond excited, just trying to stay professional and in my lane, but I'm excited for the upcoming conversation that we're going to have because it'll be yet another opportunity for intimate and candid conversation focused on healing, liberation, and in this case, restoration. And we've talked about healing, how we heal in a variety of ways. Iset and I talked about using love of self from traumatic experience to not only rebuild, but reimagine what life can look like. We've talked about love as a centering pleasure in loving yourself before you can do anything in terms of healing in this world. Rashid talked about mirror work. So being honest about how we feel and remembering that we can't get through this alone. So healing as an act of community care. Sister Michelle Cassandra Johnson talked about our words, casting spells, so being present, and how we use our words and our prayers and our intentions to create conditions for bringing in the new world that we desire. But y'all, we can't do any of this stuff if we're not rested. So that is why I'm delighted to be in conversation with Dr. Gail. But before I give her the introduction she deserves, let me go through a few housekeeping tips. So Kripalu, as you know, has joined forces with change makers around the globe to work at dismantling inequity, mitigating harm, stewarding our human and natural resources, and prioritizing collective wellness over this individualized stuff. And again, stressing interdependent liberation, like how you are affects me, how I am affects you, and reinforcing that through community conversation. And throughout the history of this world and this nation, the voices of the global majority, Black, Indigenous, and people of color, have been at the forefront of breaking down systemic issues affecting both our planet and our shared humanity by ushering in radical change. And pretty often that radical change is recognizing that we're all the same. It seems silly, but that's the radical change that the global majority keeps bringing to the collective consciousness. And that could be as simple as yoga being brought to the West or fighting injustice on all levels of our society. And now, these days and times require us to listen, not just to one another, but listen to ourselves, right? So we need to heal historical wounds that can be in our lineage, but also in ourselves. And we have to do something different. This grind mentality that has been so glamorized has made us a whole bunch of dust. And we're stardust, not the dust that comes from grinding yourself to a pulp from capitalistic addiction. So let us be in this work as an act of community care. Because none of us are well until all of us are well, and similarly, none of us are free until all of us are free. So welcome, thank you for being here. Of all the places you could be in the world, you chose to be here, and for that I'm grateful. This online summit will create a compassionate space to humanize the healing process. We live in a culture that wants instant healing by ourselves, as opposed to healing taking the time it takes in community. And we'll explore justice as a tool for restoration. It will cultivate humility, determination, and surrender that is all ingredients to the recipe of healing and transformation. Our world has multiple crises happening on top of each other: grief, personal and collective loss, climate disruptions, post-pandemic recovery, all shades, shapes, and sizes of conflict, individual and collective. This event invites us to recognize that and lean into ancestral practice, lean into the solace of community, as Rashid reminded us, leaning into the technology of aligning our breath, our voice, and our body to bring about the change we want to see in the world. Because in that, we learn how to come together and have hope together. We gather today, as always, virtually from the Berkshire Hills of Massachusetts on the ancestral territory of the Stockbridge Munsee Band of Mohicans. I'm in the unceded territory of the Piscataway Nation in Anne Arundel County, Maryland. If you have not already, please say where you are in the world and the lands that you are on, so we can honor one another and honor the stewards of the land before this thing called the United States existed. And Kripalu stewards the lands in the Berkshire Hills as a nonprofit educational organization dedicated to empowering people and communities to realize their full potential through the practice and the transformative wisdom of yoga. This Amplify the Voice of a series has been made possible through the generous donation of our donors. So we give thanks for their generosity, which makes this possible. And in my tradition, we also recognize that generosity comes from your attention. So thank you for being here. Whether you watch contemporaneously or you watch after the fact, thank you to those who are helping produce this, right? We're happy to have you here because it takes a village, y'all. We ain't going to get out the mess we're in alone. We're going to get through it together, whether we like it or not. And as part of this collective space, let's center our community online agreements. If you may have read them in the email that you got about this correspondence for the summit, and if you have not, they will be placed in the chat, and you can review them, and thank you for reviewing them and being here. So now that the housekeeping is complete, I encourage you to take a posture that is comfortable for your energy. So come home. And at this point in the day, you may need movement. So if you want to get into the shoulders and the neck, go for it. If you want to bring wrists and fingers together and do something, but draw the senses inward. And again, rather than me cueing and telling you what to do what works for you, but bring your energy in. Bring palms together, create a little friction in the palms. We live in times where friction is everywhere, so let's play with it, shall we? So friction in the palms, feeling the heat, hearing the sound. A deep inhale through the nose. Exhale out the mouth. Place one hand on heart, one hand on abdomen. Feel the power in these two centers, the heart center and the digestive center. How might these areas soften, not just through feeling the touch, but maybe you deepen the breath here. Maybe you press a little firmer, a little lighter, so adjust to your needs. And be present in this moment. What is the body telling you? What is the breath telling you? How might you soften in preparation for what we're about to experience? Releasing hands from the body. Let's all take a collective inhale. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and pause. Full exhale out the mouth. As you're ready, if eyes have closed, blink them open. Drink in the space that we have co-created together. It is now my distinct honor and pleasure to welcome Dr. Gail Parker, who will be speaking with us about restorative yoga for ethnic and race-based post-traumatic growth. Dr. Gail Parker really doesn't need, I'm not worthy to give the introduction she has because we don't have that much time, but Dr. Gail Parker is a psychologist, a yoga therapist, a distinguished author whose work centers around the intersection of yoga, race, and emotional well-being. She is the author of Restorative Yoga for Ethnic and Race-Based Stress and Trauma, and a pioneer in race-based traumatic stress healing through embodied practice. In this closing session, she will guide us in using restorative yoga as a gateway to post-traumatic growth, offering safe space to process race-based stress and cultivate healing. And I'll just also say that y'all just lean into the wisdom that's about to be dispensed here. Like, I had to learn the hard way. When you don't rest, your body will get your attention, right? Rest is resistance. Rest is resilience. So allow this wisdom to get into the stubborn part of our minds that rejects rest and see it as our birthright in a way not only that we heal, but that we create collective care. Dr. Gail, please welcome.
Hello, everybody. I'm very, very happy to be here. You know, Reggie, listening to you, those of you who may not know, I'm in Palm Springs, California, which happens to be on on a native Agua Caliente reservation, band of Cahuilla Indians. But what's also interesting is, maybe about 30 miles south of here, there's a band of Augustine Indians who are Black, Cahuilla band, who are Black. And they identify obviously more with their native heritage, but they're a mix of African and Native. And they have an organic farm and they have a casino. There are only 19 of them, which is really interesting. The mother, the chairperson of the tribe, is the daughter of the woman who reestablished their sovereignty. And somehow this woman who passed away in 2017 was able to revive this amazing group of people who now own an organic farm. They sell produce nationwide. They're 19 people. They have a casino. They're doing it. They are offering all kinds of community service here. I was very inspired when I met them. I was privileged to go to the farm and to meet them and break bread with them. And anyway, so that I was just reminded of that, Reggie, when you were talking. So what I thought would be interesting, Reggie, is if you and I could have a conversation instead of me just talking about race-based traumatic stress, because I think that we could maybe have a conversation about that and then segue into the growth that can be born of stress and trauma that we have experienced. So
Yeah, so I'll begin with a question. I'm always ready, nerdy me, ready to jump in. So I had the blessing of offering a trauma-informed, trauma-conscious training in Sedona this past weekend. And what I shared with folks was that trauma is not the end of the story. And as we work through it, there is life after trauma. I think that's what you're getting at here. So tell me a little bit more about specifically what you mean by post-traumatic growth in a general context and then in a race-based context.
Okay, I will. And then we're also going to have an experience. But so trauma is simply undigested emotion. It's unprocessed emotion because for whatever reason, the experience, the emotional injury, and it's regarded as race-based traumatic stress is regarded as an emotional injury, not a disorder, not a psychological disorder. And so I think it's really important for people to understand that because it's not PTSD. Post-traumatic stress disorder has been medicalized as a psychiatric disorder, which means that the implication is that some kind of way you should be able to get over it.
Right.
And if we just have the right approach, you'll be able to overcome this trauma. And if you can't, then that's where you have this so-called disorder. There's a different way of thinking about this. And this is why I wrote this book. I was invited to write the book, but it occurred to me that those of us who have experienced racial and ethnic traumatic stress and we're not crazy. There's nothing wrong with us. We're just hurt. We're hurt. And to pathologize, to make that a sickness or make that as something wrong with the hurt person is not an appropriate approach. It isn't. It's not helpful. And we've internalized that there must be something wrong with me. I don't know what it is, but there must be something wrong. There's nothing wrong with you. Race-based traumatic stress, I know you told me to talk about growth, and I will, is an external event that occurs that causes emotional pain. The brain doesn't know the difference between physical pain and emotional pain and processes both through the same center, neural center. And so it literally physically can hurt. It can cause heart pain.
Mm-hmm.
It can cause stomach pain. It can cause headaches. It can cause back pain. All kinds of physical symptoms can emerge as a result of these traumatic experiences. So I gave voice to the fact that some people are suffering stress as a result of racism and discrimination in this country. And within the yoga community, it was new. It had not been done before. So that's really what I bring to the party. And it occurred to me, I'm getting to growth. It occurred to me, I don't, because we don't need to stay stuck in our trauma.
Right.
We don't need to be identified with our trauma. It isn't that we have not been traumatized. It isn't that we're not stressed. It's just that it's possible to grow from those experiences. And so I'm here to talk about that. But one of the things that we know is that, and that's unique about racial stress and trauma, is that it's ongoing, it's recurrent, and it's cumulative. It's not a one-time event, and then you can just sort of kind of work it through.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's critically important for us to have practices that support resilience and the capacity to increase our capacity to hold whatever emotion we're experiencing.
Right.
So that we are not paralyzed by the experiences. So rest practices are important for us because as Black people, and I'm assuming I can speak with great authority on Black folks in America. I can. So, when I speak about this, as far as is concerned with other people, it may be true of other people as well. But we know that most all of us have been raised to believe that we have to be 200% better to get half as much.
Yep.
We all got that message one way or the other, very young. So, and when I used to teach in the restorative, the emotional program at Kripalu, teaching yoga teachers how to teach this stuff. And it's really important for us to understand, those of us who are experiencing it and those of us who are interacting with those of us who've experienced it, we're already showing up at 200%. We don't need to be told to go
do more,
to do it harder, because we'll do it. Now we're at 300%. We call it high effort coping. It's a thing. It has a label. It's a thing. And it has been researched and demonstrated that because of high effort coping, which Michelle Obama, by the way, describes in her book Becoming as what did she say? She said, I've learned to march to the beat of unending effort with the willingness to tolerate misery to achieve a goal. I wish I could see everybody, because I would ask all of those who can relate, raise your hand. That you just keep trying harder and harder and harder. So it occurs to me that if that's the case, we need to learn how to rest, don't we? However, rest is very threatening when you're on high alert most of the time, and we've adapted to a culture that has been hostile,
right,
toward us. So we don't even know necessarily that we're experiencing stress and trauma. Brush it off. We're strong. We do. Now here's the good news.
It's just how it is, right?
But here's the good news. And this harkens to your observation that we're not doing this alone. There has been an inflection point And I'm seeing the collective in 2025 saying, you know what? No more. No more high effort coping. It's time for time out. It's time to sit down, take a break, take a rest, get really clear about who I am, what I'm about, what I'm doing, why I'm doing it, and how I want to live the rest of my life. And so that is now, the collective is moving toward growth. I'm very excited about this.
Right on.
Even though we are living in extremely stressful times. But as we know, as yogis, the teachings tell us that we can maintain a sense of balance, even in chaotic situations. And that's our work.
Right.
How do I do that? How do I do that? How do I keep from being emotionally hijacked by all of the triggers that appear to be waiting for me to ambush me,
Right.
and make me go off? So that's part of what we're tasked with right now, to recognize that when you get emotionally hijacked, it's not because the triggers never come as a warning. It always comes as a surprise. It always knocks you off your feet. You're
Right.
always caught off guard. And it's always whatever triggers you. I don't care what's going on around you, everybody. I wish I could see all of you, but I can't right now. Whatever's going on around you, when you get triggered, when somebody steps on one of those invisible landmines that you didn't even know you had around you, it's 10% them, 90% you.
Wow.
And that includes everybody.
Yeah.
Them, it's you. That doesn't mean there's something wrong with you. What that means is that you're getting a signal from your body that I need to pay attention to that. I need to pay attention to my reaction, not to what they did.
Right. And you're a huge proponent of restorative yoga as a means of that disrupting that. So tell us a little bit more about that.
How restorative yoga does that? Okay, so restorative yoga, those of you who, as you know, in restorative yoga, it's a receptive practice. It's a practice of stillness that allows you to hold, and we use props and all the things that allow you to hold postures for longer periods of time so the yoga can do its work. And it allows you to observe, to pay attention while that's happening. So you can begin to see, number one, where do I hold my stress? Because we hold our stress and traumas. All this undigested stuff that we carry is in our bodies. It's in our musculature. It's in our fascia. It's not in our heads. We embody the stress and trauma that we experience. When there's no way to release that, then that's the cumulative part. And talk therapy, I'm speaking to you as a seasoned psychologist, is not enough. Talk therapy is really important, but it doesn't get at the physical release that comes, for example, from being in Shavasana. I don't know if you've ever just had a release in Shavasana, an emotional release, where this energy just moves through you, and who knew? You don't know what happened.
Yeah.
You can't make it happen, but you can begin to do things that invite the opportunity for the release to occur. I don't know if you've ever burst out in tears in a yoga class or in a practice, or burst or gotten, I call it the spirit of folly that visits, and you just want to laugh out loud but for some reason you don't because you think you're not supposed. We used to get in trouble for laughing in our yoga classes. I can't believe it. Oh well.
Times have changed.
You know,
Crazy, right?
yeah. So you might have a memory, you might have a so-called triggering experience when you're still. And so people, you learn, this is how you learn to hold whatever emotion is coming up, because if you're doing the practice, excuse me, you're in stillness.
Right.
You're not having outbursts, although you might. Been in classes where that occurs, and that's okay too. But the practice is to create our capacity to hold whatever the heart is experiencing. Anger. It's appropriate to be angry when something pisses you off. It's appropriate to cry when you're sad, to laugh when you're happy, to love when you, these are all, it's a symphony of emotion that's available to us.
Yeah,
And
Rashid mentioned in our last class, we all basically we're heartbroken and forced to move through it again and again and again.
yeah,
And that just has become the norm. So you're saying that restorative yoga disrupts that norm and just that stillness the body responds to that stillness by slowly softening and releasing what's been held for a while.
it does, because that's the challenging part. We call them samskaras,
Hmm.
those parts of self that we buried, that we didn't even know we buried, that are lurking in the background, waiting to, sabotage and hijack us. Yeah, and when
Hello.
we least expect it.
Right.
But when we can allow ourselves to remain open when that energy moves through us, guess what? It doesn't come back. It's gone. Now we have to do this time and time. This is a lifelong practice. It's not like, okay, that's it, I'm done. I have
Right.
done my work, now I'm, which we all experience it. Good. I finally got that over with. And then
We're only that simple.
here it comes again. There's another one of those things that pops up. But so that's the work. Yes. So the longer you do the practice, the less reactive you become, the more patient you become, uh, the longer the pause between something that upsets you and your response to it, you learn to sit with it longer. Now, what many of us try to do is to keep from having the experience. That's not
Altogether.
helpful. That's called repression. That's what the samskaras are made of.
Right.
Trying not to have the experience, trying to get over the experience. So there's a difference between, okay, growth. Now we'll go there. There's a difference between the pain of growth and the pain of injury.
Okay. Hmm.
So if we ignore our injuries, our emotional injuries, because that's what I'm talking about right now,
Totally.
they fester, they grow, they get worse, they pop up when we least expect it and least want it. When you have those blow-ups, those, just the things, we all know what we're talking about. I think we all know what I'm talking about. I assume we do. Because all of us have unhealed, unaddressed trauma that
Right.
we carried, and some of it's intergenerational. However, we also have resilience. We do, that we can rely on, resilience that we can tap into. How
Mhm.
do we do that? How do we do that? Well, you have to be well enough rested, well enough aware to be able to do that. So
Mhm.
I'll say this and then we can go into a practice if you like.
Yeah, please.
But so one of the things an image that I like is if you step on a nail and it penetrates, it really hurts a lot.
Yeah.
It really hurts. Well, there's a story. Actually, I'll tell the story. A mail carrier is walking past a man's house and he's sitting on his porch with his dog. The dog is whimpering. He says, "Why is your dog whimpering? What's wrong with the dog?" The man says, "Oh, he's laying on a nail." And the mail carrier says, "Well, why doesn't he get up?" And the man says, "Because it hurts too much to move."
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of like the devil you know. I mean, if you step on a nail, it really, really hurts. But if you even just think about pulling that nail out so the healing can occur, it's cringeworthy. It's like, yike, we know that's going to hurt more, but
Right.
that's
Or we think it'll
temporary.
hurt more.
That's temporary.
Right.
Our growth, the pain of growth is temporary, but it's necessary. It's a necessary pain
Totally.
in order to move on from your stress and trauma. But and so we have to train the nervous system. Then you get traumatized, you get hurt, the nervous system goes like this. It's self-protective. It's when you stay like this that when it becomes chronic
Right.
and no longer conscious. And this is just, we're walking through life like this and calling it normal, and we don't even know it.
Right.
So there's all kinds of research, the adverse childhood experiences, that many of us bring with us to the party. Many of us have been like this for a lifetime.
Totally.
And so where do we begin?
I'm hoping you'll
Like,
tell us. Yeah, please.
Okay. So we're going to do a rest practice. There's another story I like to tell, but while I'm telling the story, just get yourselves comfortable seated. Either if you're on the floor, you can lean up against a wall. I want you to make sure you have the support that you need. If you're in a chair, just get real comfortable in your chair. And lower your gaze or close your eyes. And just feel the support of the earth underneath your feet. Plant your feet firmly on the ground. And feel the support of whatever you're sitting on, a cushion or a chair, underneath your buttocks. Feel your back supported. And then begin to focus your awareness on your breath. Notice the coolness of breath as you inhale through your nostrils, and the warmth of the breath as you exhale. And just continue to focus on your own normal, natural, rhythmic breath. And there's a story of a woman, a Peace Corps volunteer, who went to Cameroon to support the villagers in improving their quality of life. She knew the language, she knew the customs, although she'd never been, but she studied, she did her homework. And when she got there, she saw the women gathered around the well gathering water, and she was excited to meet them. And she went up to them and greeted them in the language. And they basically ignored her and did not offer to help her. She didn't know how to balance the water jugs on her head, and she tripped and she was having a hard time, but nobody was helping her at all. And this went on for a while until she saw another Peace Corps volunteer who seemed to have a really wonderful connection with the village women. And so she asked her, what am I doing wrong? Am I doing something wrong? And the other volunteer said to her, she said, well, there's a traditional greeting that is used before you start conversation. And the woman said, well, what is the greeting? And she said, Jambaduna. is the greeting, and the response is Jamkora Dume. And what it means is that the question is, are you in your skin? Is your soul in your body? And the response is, I am alive and well and in my skin. My soul is in my body. And then the conversation can begin. And so we're going to step into our skin to connect with our soul as we begin this journey moving toward growth. So shift your focus from your breath right now to the top of your right foot. Just focus your awareness on the top of your right foot. Then move it to your right big toe, your second toe, your third toe, your fourth toe, your pinky toe, the sole of your right foot, your right ankle, your right shin, right calf, right knee, right thigh. And then shift your awareness to the top of your left foot, your left big toe, second toe, third toe, fourth toe, pinky toe, the bottom of your left foot, left ankle, left shin, left calf, left knee, left thigh, left hip, left buttocks, right buttocks, right hip, your belly, your waist, your torso, your chest, your back body, lower back, middle back, upper back, your collarbones, your right shoulder, right upper arm, right forearm, right wrist, top of your right hand, your right thumb, index finger, middle finger, ring finger, pinky finger, the palm of your right hand, and shift your awareness to the palm of your left hand, left pinky finger, left ring finger, middle finger, forefinger, thumb, left wrist, left forearm, left upper arm, And then move your awareness to your neck, the back of your neck, the sides of your neck, the front of your neck, your jaw, cheekbones, right ear, left ear, your eyes, your forehead, your scalp, your brain, the inside of your mouth, your tongue, your esophagus, your lungs, your heart, your diaphragm, your stomach, your liver, your spleen, your pancreas, your intestines, and then allow your imagination to envision yourself as a dove. The head of the dove represents joy. The right wing of the dove represents love. Your left wing represents delight. Your body represents bliss. And the entirety of your body is being held in consciousness. Just allow your awareness to rest here for a moment. Being held in consciousness. And then in your mind's eye, imagine stepping onto a path in front of you. And this path leads to your future. One where you're living in full alignment with your highest self. Begin to walk forward, feeling the earth solid beneath you, guiding you with each step. And as you walk, the air around you shifts, and the space begins to change. And you realize you're now arriving at a moment in your future, a version of your life where everything you've been working toward has come to fruition. You are here. You have arrived. Take a look around you. Notice your surroundings. Where are you? Are you indoors or outdoors? What do you see? What are the colors? The light? The details of the space? Now listen. What sounds fill the air? Do you hear laughter or music? The gentle hum of life around you, the wind. Take a deep, deep breath. What do you smell? Fresh flowers? The ocean breeze? Fresh mown grass? The comforting scent of home? Reach out your hand and notice what textures you feel. The warmth of the sun, the coolness of the air, soft fabric. And then notice yourself. Notice how you're standing, how you're moving. Feel your body. Feel your heart, the ease in your heart. You are embodying the person that you have always wanted to be. And imagine yourself engaged in something really deeply fulfilling. You might be leading or teaching or creating or just simply being fully present in your life. Notice the joy on your face, the peace in your reality. What do you know now that you didn't before? What wisdom has this version of you gained? Just listen. Your future self has a message for you, a simple truth, a piece of guidance. Let it come to you now. Ask your future self what wisdom he or she has for you. We'll just sit for a moment. You don't have to think of an answer, just let it emerge, let it come. And once your vision, the wisdom comes to you, just place both hands over your heart. Take a deep breath in. And just let the vision settle inside you. It's like a seed that you've planted in the soil that's ready to grow. And know that this future is now. It is not a distant dream. It is within you already unfolding. And when you're ready, begin to bring awareness back to your breath. Feel your body resting where you are. You can gently wiggle your toes and your fingers. You can do a few neck rolls if you like, some shoulder rolls. Just wake your body back up. And when you're ready, just open your eyes and bring this energy with you back into the present moment. And what I'd like you to do now is in the chat, if you would, just select a word that describes the either the wisdom that you were offered or the experience that you had, one word, and put it in the present as if it's, I am, whatever it is. Not a future event, that this is, okay, let's take a look at this. This is my favorite part. I'm love, I'm a healer, I'm joyful, patient, I'm grown, I'm wind, I'm doing it, I'm becoming, I'm grateful. I am light, I am here, I am courageous. I am my own sanctuary, I am sharing, I am present, I'm safe. I'm authentic, I am fully present. I'm convinced. I'm deeply relaxed. I am blanketed. I'm able to heal myself. I am in peace. I'm connecting my body and feelings. Yeah. I'm in self-love. I'm home from vacation. I'm happy. I'm open to the possibilities, love, and ready to accept it. I'm thankful. I'm in balance and harmony. I'm at peace. I'm ready for change. I'm surrounded by easeful love. I can. Okay. All right. So what I'd like to do now is invite you. I wish more men were sharing in this important work. So, how about Britt? How about more men are here sharing this important work? See, when we want to envision the future as now. So more men are here sharing this work. You're welcome. I love that rewrite. Thank you, she says. Yeah, so let me talk to you a little bit about the future, imagining the future, envisioning the future, and then I want us to talk to each other. So if you have anything to say. Viktor Frankl, many of you may know who he is, wrote a book called Man's Search for Meaning. And Viktor Frankl was a Holocaust survivor. He was an Austrian who was developing a theory of psychology that was quite radical at the time. It was different than Freudian psychology. He was beginning to suspect, his theory was that creating meaning in life is what was life affirming for people. And so when the soldiers came to arrest him, he and his wife, and take them to the concentration camp, which he did not know this was what was going to happen, but it did. So he put his little theory in his jacket pocket, thinking that he would be able to continue working on it. Little did he know. But what he did, was he started observing in the concentration camp who seemed to be able to make the adjustments necessary to keep going and who didn't seem to be able to do that. And what he observed was that the people who had something to live for, who created meaning in their lives, seemed to be the ones who did better than those who were not able to envision that. And the story he tells is that it was the war was coming to an end, and they knew it was coming to an end, and they knew that the Germans were losing because they could hear the American planes flying low overhead. And they were asked to go on a work detail, and it was in the winter, and they had cardboard soles for shoes with holes in the cardboard, and they're trudging through this cold winter place to get to wherever it is they had to go. And his legs collapsed and he fell down and he couldn't get up. And the German soldier was hitting him with the butt of his rifle, demanding that he get up and threatening to kill him if he didn't. And he was thinking to himself, oh, wow, what a way to go. I almost made it to the end. And this is how I'm going to die, because he just didn't have the strength. And in that moment, all of a sudden, he said he flashed on his theory that he had been working on the whole time he's in the concentration camp. It's taking me longer to tell the story than it was for him to have this flash. He flashes on this theory of growth and human potential and well-being that he had been working on. And he imagined himself giving a lecture to a group of psychiatrists and getting a standing ovation after he did it. And he told the story to a group of psychiatrists in the United States, in San Diego, California, and got the standing ovation. It was then, before that, he found his legs. He was able to, somehow this vision allowed him to get up and make it to the end. And then he told the story. So he began to realize that envisioning a future that you would like to occupy is life affirming. The brain, we know, really is more even though we learn about negativity bias, the brain is actually more attracted to what's positive than it is to what's negative. And Dean Ornish teaches that. And so when you begin to discipline yourself to practice focusing on what's right in the world and what would I like to make right in the world, how can I make the world a better place for you and me? When that becomes your focus, it strengthens you, and it strengthens your capacity to actually realize how you can occupy a better world. And so my task to you is to invite you to develop a practice of envisioning the future that you would like to occupy. What is the future that you want to create for yourself, for your children, and their children, and their children? What does that look like? And as you begin to contemplate that, discussing it or journaling about it or having a conversation as if it were now, not as if it were a future event. You understand? That's the task. That's the discipline, to talk about the future you would like to occupy as if it's occurring now. We didn't do that today because there's not enough time. There wasn't enough time. And there really wasn't enough, introduction and build up to do that. But I think we were all capable of imagining ourselves, ourselves in a future moment. And if you'll notice, for those of you who teach, I invited you to engage all of your senses. What do you see? What do you smell? What is it? What are you touching? What do you hear? Do we do taste? I don't think we did taste, but you could, So this becomes the practice. Or we can do a Chicken Little practice and do the sky is falling practice. Oh my God. See, this time the world really is going to come to an end. We could do that. Or I knew it. I knew it was going to happen. And this is it. We can do that. And that's where we stay stuck in trauma. When we keep replaying the trauma over and over and over again. And believe it or not, we're creating our future that way. That's one of the reasons we're experiencing what we're experiencing now. Because there are, forces that created a future that we don't want to occupy. So we don't have to. We really don't. And we don't have to fix that. That's not the work. At least that's not the work I'm inviting you to do. To fix what you don't like. The work I invite you to always do is to take a look at, okay, what do I want, and what can I begin to do to act like, to live a life that will support my vision of what life looks like. Which will be my next question or challenge to you, which is, so what is an action you will take? To those of you who said, I am peace, I am peaceful, I am at peace, I'm in balance, I'm thankful. What action are you willing to take every day? Okay, here's it for 21 days, because they say that's how long it takes to create a new habit. For 21 days, that supports thankfulness, peacefulness, happiness. I'm looking at self-love. What is one action that you're willing to do every day to support what your future self said she or he needs and wants? How's that? Can you do it? I hope so. That's how we make the world a better place for you and me, for each other. It starts with the dream. It doesn't start with the thing. It doesn't start with the manifestation of the dream. But that's how we manifest our dreams. So anyway, I'd love to hear from you if you have any questions or comments. concerns?
Well, while y'all are bringing these thoughts and questions to mind, I'll take moderator privilege. Um, Dr. Gail, thank you for the rest practice. I'm actually surprised that I've made it back to the camera because I was in a totally other place. So thank you for that. And my remark was I'm spacious because, as you know, that so I took my first flight since the stroke to Arizona, then came back and I'm doing this. So had been feeling, I guess it's subconsciously a little compressed naturally because things are going on. So to be in that space of just like, so all my mat and stuff are there, and I was laid out in like butterfly pose, and just that space, being in that space and thinking in spacious terms was delightful.
Hmm, nice.
So thank you. I hope it shows in my countenance. Like I'm just a little bit more like, as a
Uh-huh. I can
so.
see it.
Thank you.
So are you willing to create, to be spacious every day?
Absolutely. I mean,
Okay.
the beautiful thing about my studio is that I've got instruments, right? So I can play
Okay.
and create space.
Oh,
Absolutely.
okay.
So y'all, I jumped in the pool. The water's warm. Come on in.
Anyone else? Yeah,
Don't be shy.
they're shy.
I'll
So
share.
go ahead.
Go ahead, Britt.
I think what feels like the commitment I can make to myself in this practice is coming back to that visualization each day,
Mhm.
and just in sort of like pausing that loop where we get stuck in the trauma of what's happening. Because just today, my journaling was a list of grievances. I'm just like, wow, it's dark out there. So how can I sort of turn the light back on for myself and then become that light that I want to see around me in the practices that I get to teach, like yoga and meditation, and just bringing those back into my focus and not having that thought loop of like, wow, it's so dark, I don't see how this gets better. Just continuing to play out again and again, because like you said, then we get stuck there, and that is actually the world that we start to occupy in the future.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. And I remember one of the first things I learned when I took a studio yoga class was every time you get on your mat is the first time you've been on your mat. You know what I mean? So that we know that if we approach every day for certain, maybe but like this is a new day. This is a new day. How do I create spaciousness for myself today? Because it may change from time to time. How do I create peacefulness for myself today?
Absolutely. And keeping it a daily practice, I think, helps it to not become so existential.
Exactly. Exactly. It's a thing. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome. My
Britt, thank
pleasure.
you. Lena, you're next.
Oh, hi everyone.
Hi.
Um, so happy to be here. The second meeting. Thank you. Thank you for everything, every single second. As a yoga teacher, we so need it because sometimes we are leading the classes and we see everyone lying down in there in shavasana and we are just holding space. We so wish to lie down in there too, to hold space for ourselves. So this was a moment for me to nourish the inner yoga. Thank you so much. I'm so grateful.
Oh,
Thank you.
thank you.
Lena, thank you. Natalie, we see you. Welcome to the space.
Thank you. Hopefully you can hear me. I have my hoodie on and my mic always is like buried in the hoodie.
Good to go.
Thank you. That was so wonderful. I just felt like incredibly inspired and I've been reading, sorry, my picture's a little fuzzy. I've been reading too a lot of books about visualization of what it is, how you can see yourself and being. not necessarily like trying to be like positive where there's nothing going on negatively in the world, but like how can I not look at everything that's going on and just focus on what and that like I've been able to see my practice and see my wellness practice. I mean, I'm a yoga teacher, I've Reiki, all these things that I've been certified in, and yet I don't have clients, and yet I'm not teaching at the moment. And I'm just like, what is that block me that has been not moving forward? And so I've just been on this like sort of a tear of, okay, I can see it. There it is. And just as you were saying, visualize, what it is that what your life is that you want to see. Like that has been a constant for the last like 2 or 3 weeks. Just
Beautiful.
like I can see it. I can see it. I can finally see it. And I knew when I was younger that in my astrology that I would be doing a lot of these things as an elder. And now that I'm approaching 60, I'm like, okay, I'm ready. I'm ready. Like now the world needs this stuff even more.
Yes.
And so to emerge from the cocoon basically and to support others, I feel like it's happening, but I'm also trying to be as patient as possible. Without like going, okay, when is it gonna happen? Like so how's that process like just stepping back and letting, let go and let God kind of thing, and all of I watch Agape and all of that.
All the stuff, right?
How can
So
I just be
I
patient?
remember, I'm a meditator, are you?
Yes.
Yeah. So I remember when I started meditating, which was a million years ago, I felt like I was going to jump out of my skin. It was so hard to just sit there, it was painful.
Yeah.
But I did it and I kept doing it and I kept doing it and I kept doing it. And then one day I was a very impatient human being and mother and all the things. And one day somebody said to me, "Oh my God, you're so patient." I said, "I am." And I started noticing that I am. What happened? The practice. We keep doing the practice.
Yeah.
So I'm just inviting you to add to your practice, Natalie, instead of, I can't wait for this to happen. How many students would you like to have?
Oh, everybody. No, I have no number specifically. I
Pick a
just know
number.
that,
Pick a number. Start getting
oh,
specific. Either it'll
okay.
either happen or it won't.
Right.
But so this is your challenge to get, specific. Don't be afraid.
Right.
I would like to, I have 20 yogas or how many Reiki patient, whatever it is you want.
Right.
I have this and I have this and I have this and I have this. And as if it is occurring. Now, what we
Right.
know is that man plans and who laughs, but it will lead you to where it will open you to the possibility, to what really is in front of you. Somebody said to me, my clients used to always say, "Dr. Park, you need to write a book. You need to write a book." I don't have a book to write. I don't have any. Yes, you do. You do. You do. Finally, one of them said to me years ago, she said, look, she was finishing up therapy. She said, "I tell you what, first of all, the book is already written." She said that to me. That spoke to something in me I thought, oh. She said, "I'll tell you what, I'm just going to hold the space for you
Mm.
until you actually sit down and do it."
Yeah.
She did. And 25
Mm.
years later, you know what I mean? Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
So it's already done. Whatever
Yeah.
it is, it's done. Does that make sense?
It does.
And it's not magical thinking. There's a difference between what I'm saying to you and just imagine, just wishing something would be true. I'm not talking about wishing. I'm
Right.
talking about start envisioning the future you'd like to occupy. Be
Yes.
honest with yourself about it. And don't be afraid to be specific. And let it take you where it will.
Thank you. I've been reading a lot of
Fun.
Bob Proctor and Law of Attraction. And so it's like that has been sort of a lot of what I've been hearing too
But
lately.
also notice how because you said, how am I blocking myself? Start paying attention
Right.
to how I'm blocking myself and get out of
Okay.
it.
Got it. Yep.
And that's the value in the stillness practices. It invites us to get out of our way,
Mm.
to allow whatever is the energy to find us where we are.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Natalie, thank you. We have a couple of hands, but there were some questions in the chat that we can maybe get to quickly before Caitlin M and A, we see you. Tyler asks, how can yoga teachers best support their students who have emotional releases while practicing? Is it tissues sitting near them, hugs afterward, just
Mhm. What I always say is yoga is a breath practice. When someone has a big response to something, just invite them to come to their breath, to come to their breath, to come to their breath, and you can breathe with them. We co-regulate one another's nervous systems. If you are calm and fully present, that's contagious. No, you don't have to do anything. You don't have to, that's not your job to fix anything, to do anything. Just, invite people to come to the breath and do it with them. And if it's a class, invite the class to, let's all, take a moment right now and come to our breath, come to our breath, come to our breath.
one more from the chat, and then Caitlin, we see you. So Dr. Marjorie asks, what is a simple prompt that healers can give to those who are stuck catastrophizing to break the loop?
Tell them to, I rely on breath a lot. I do. I rely on inviting people to, when they're catastrophizing, just invite them to, so that's a big question, and it's kind of in the abstract, so it's hard for me to answer that.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't know exactly what it is, but I think one answer is when we feel compelled to try to get somebody to stop doing what they're doing and do something else. I think that's an important time for us to take a look at how come I am uncomfortable with whatever it is they're doing. What is causing me to be uncomfortable about them catastrophizing?
Can I add? I'm sorry, Reggie and Dr. Parker,
Go ahead.
so that you're clearer.
Yeah.
As a person who takes care of individuals who have sickle cell disease, and I have it myself, there is a challenge in our patient population that we're always worried about the next crisis or what we might be doing that might bring it on, as opposed to I am healing. Let me stand in my power and allow the healing to happen and focus on the moments when we are healed. So in trying to empower our population and our community, as a medical physician, I'm one that does all the things that you are talking about and been trained in yoga and trying to give more of that to our community, because that is part of their emotional trauma. So maybe that specificity will help direct the question, or we can take it offline. I just wanted to give you a little bit more detail in where I was going.
No, well, first of all, it makes sense to me that they're scared of triggering something. That makes sense. And I think that we can validate some of that. It makes sense that you would, be worried about that. And it makes sense because, whatever follows that. And I think just being fully present with our patients, our clients, our students is worth more than any other intervention we could possibly offer. Just being there. It's uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable to sit in that energy, but that is part of our job.
Thank you.
You're
One
welcome.
thing I would offer before we call on Caitlin is Dr. from my stroke recovery. it's ever present to not have another stroke. I mean, I had a stroke a year ago and have battled back from like way back.
Yeah.
And what I have done myself is just use the stroke as a teacher and embody my healing step by step. So other stroke survivors see my example of living vulnerably step by step, and they see my example as a way to either that they could in the moment or aspirationally respond, right? So they'll see me do something like, how'd you get there? So it's
Yeah.
as an opportunity to have conversation as opposed to trying to break anything. So because I understand that viscerally as a stroke survivor, like you don't ever want to go through that again. So for
But
me,
you,
putting one foot in front of the other and then using that as an example as opposed to me trying to tell anybody anything.
Thank you so much for that. And as a fellow warrior, I try to do the same. I just wanted to make sure I was covering all the bases. So
For
I
sure.
lead by example, and I use my life and my experience in exactly that way. So thank you for maybe just reminding me that that's all I have to do, right? Okay. And breathe. Absolutely.
and breathe. So I'm going to
Breath
read you
work is,
something.
yeah,
That's what I was looking
absolutely.
for. And this is in one of the books I read. What a person's wounded places need most is for someone to be there with them. They don't need to be diagnosed, healed, or fixed. And then I go on to,
Amen to that. I
yeah,
try to just hold space for them. Usually
it's
that's my
hard.
primary role, and I will just keep doing that. Thank you for
You're
the
doing the
reaffirmation.
right thing. You're
Yeah.
welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, hi. Um, Thank you so much. This is giving me so much to think about and kind of feel into. So I'm a trauma therapist, and I have been personally, right? I've been studying all of this stuff, practicing. Sorry, my partner's building me a bookcase in the other room. Let me just go upstairs real quick.
There.
A good partner.
So, I've been practicing this stuff for over a decade. And so when I then work with people to try to get them to rest, get them to pause, teach them this stuff, I forget how much foundational stuff there has to be and how much foundation, especially as a trauma therapist, right? That like nervous system, like this, most of my clients have been like that their whole lives. I have a lot of like early childhood trauma people. And so my question is, like I had a client where I signed her, I was like, just for this week, just take some deep breaths. And I said, it can be helpful. Just put your hand right, a couple inches below your belly button and breathe into that. And she was like, my belly button, my breath doesn't go down there. My chest only moves. And she's like 60.
Yeah.
And I realized she'd never taken a deep breath in her life. And so there's these things that I like don't realize that someone had to teach me, but I don't think to put in those foundational steps. And so in terms of helping people that have been through this, like a lot of heavy trauma throughout their lives, that have never rested in their lives in any real way, what would you say are some like really basic ways to kind of coach them in that?
Let them teach you.
What does that mean?
You don't have to know. That means you didn't know that this woman didn't know how to belly breathe, but she told you. So now I know. Now I can say, oh, okay, well, let's work with that. You said that it sounded to me like you thought you needed to know these things. But your clients will teach you how they need to be, how they need, what they need. They'll tell you. And sometimes you'll get it right, and sometimes you won't. And then you make the adjustment. It's a dance. It's about getting to know. It's a sacred relationship. It's a relationship. That's where the healing takes place. It's within the context of the relationship. It's not the technique. It really is. So don't be afraid to, and also understand that people resist rest. People who are tight like this, rest is threatening to them. And also there's a book called The Salt Eaters. I'm not recommending it. It's not an easy read, but it's about a healer who asks her patients before she does anything, do you want to be well?
Mm-hmm.
Because being well comes with a lot of responsibility, she says. See, we think being well is like, we'd like to imagine that it's easy. It's not, it ain't easy to be well. It takes a lot of work and a lot of intention and a lot of commitment. You can't do the work.
Yeah, I guess I just if I hadn't specifically cued that, I wouldn't have known that, like when I say take deep breaths, she does. So I did, that's what she says that she is. So I guess, is there anything that you would start off as like here's something like with someone that has never experienced this before, never come across it before?
Breathing? Is that what you're asking me?
Rest, any kind of like the
Rest?
just nervous system.
Oh, I would teach them, well, you would start with breath and tell them, that's always available to you. If you extend your exhale to be twice as long as your inhale, it's calming. If you can teach that, if you like.
So just start with like super basic
yes. With what?
Start super with basic breath stuff, like those kind of foundational.
Yeah, because what you'll do is you'll say, and how do you feel now? Oh my God, I feel better. People come in and say, how are you? Fine. So well, I tell you what, before we get started, let's just sit down and we'll breathe together. I'll do it with you.
Yeah.
How are you feeling now? I feel better, but they don't know why.
Mm-hmm.
And so we say, that's always available to you.
Mm-hmm.
You can, if you're in the grocery store, if you're behind it, and so you have to meet the resistance. We see, it's important not to tear down somebody's resistance.
Mm-hmm.
They need it. It protects them. So we have to respect resistance, not try to take it away.
Sure.
Caitlin, thank you for your question. We're going to get one more. And for other folks, if you have questions, maybe you can write them down and we can get them to Dr. Gail and she can answer them. I'm not trying to volunteer your time, but just to respect the time of everybody else, we want to end earlier or on time. So M, last question, and then I'll close us out.
Hi. I just want to say, as somebody who not only is beyond resistant to rest until I had my own health scare. So Reggie, when you shared that yesterday, like it ate me up in the best ways possible. I'm so grateful that you're here. I had to let go of actually a organ to be able to be here. So I just want to say that I feel like as a therapist as well, it is so affirming to just hear and like for it to resonate, not only the idea that like I don't have to give my clients the wisdom that is already living within them, and I just feel like it's an amazing reminder. I've always felt that way and often have been pushed to think other ways. I think that is something, unfortunately, that does happen. But more than even that is my own fellow social workers and finding ways to also help them, just like asking them the question of like, what future do you want to occupy? Like, I just love that question because I feel like, and this is my own kind of thing, I was like, I often feel like mental health providers outside of even COVID and now have been absolutely forgotten. And I will just say, like, as social workers being the largest mental health providers in the country, like we are a dying breed, unbelievably, but what is that dreaming into and using those? Because I've stepped away from that practice actually and dreaming into something that feels more liberating to me. I was like, and to have this knowledge, like I'm so grateful, so grateful. I've had so many people read your book and actually get PhDs doing this work. So I just want to say thank you, Reggie, for also giving me the time. I so appreciate it. I'm eating the series up. So as a first timer, thank you so much. I needed this so badly.
And you're more than welcome. Dr. Gail, you have any closing thoughts? And for those, so Angel and Juliana, online support at kripalu.org is where you can send your question, and we'll make sure that you are seen. Thank you for your patience. Dr. Gail, any closing thoughts? And then I will do housekeeping and take us out.
Just thank you, everyone. Thank you for inviting me to be part of this series. Thank you for coming to the series. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And for everybody who I know who's here that I didn't get to say hello to, hello. And for those of you, the new people, hello. So, and I love you guys. I really do. Each and every
Well,
one.
I love and appreciate you, Dr. Gail, and thank you all for being here. For those of you who have been to show after show after show, it's okay to take a rest. You know what I mean? Like, you can watch the replay. Like, you don't like. I love that you've been here with us, but Dr. Gail reminded us rest is sacred. So you can ease off the throttle. So we love having you here, but we want you here fully and presently, not like grinding. Like, how we heal is not by grinding. All right.
That's right.
So thank you, Dr. Gail, for grounding us in rest, restoration, and the beauty of envisioning a future with post-traumatic growth. Love, grace, and gratitude. Be well.